Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. We're talking about Babylon 5, and this is an action-packed episode. We see the first time that they are doing any major battle with the shadows and how they come about that. We give a little bit more airtime to Ivanova to talk about her way of being able to be in a command position, which she's always been kind of the second banana who's makes the wry remarks, but we don't show her actually making command decisions and things like that. And in this case, we do. And we see the beginning of what could be a romance. So it's kind of an interesting peek into what Ivanova's future is going to look like. We have the relationship between Sheridan and Delenn that is further developing to a point where we see some of the odd Minbari customs of courtship, which start out with the woman watching the man in bed asleep and just watches and takes notes. I think that's kind of an interesting custom, and of course Sheridan gets that under the wrong impression, at least at first. Then we have the big battle. We find that the shadows are a much bigger threat than even they thought they were going to be. And despite the fact that they have all the telepaths and things like that, they were a bit surprised at what happened and what the death toll turned out to be. Now, back on the station, we have Dr. Franklin, who is still on his walkabout. Garibaldi, who is second-guessing whether he should have let the doctor take off on this or if he should have just slapped some sense into him to begin with. And near the end, they have a kind of a coming together of sorts that is entertaining. Meanwhile, the way that Franklin finally figures out how to end his walkabout, it's done in a most painful way and a slightly unexpected way that he finds himself. And while we knew that he was going to end up in MedLab eventually, I mean, that's what he's there for. They can't have him walking about and doing nothing for the rest of the series. It is something that makes a certain amount of sense, despite the fact that it's a little far-fetched. But I mean, they're on a space station fighting aliens, so I mean, some of it's going to be far-fetched. Nevertheless, I think that it fits with Franklin's character, and we learn something about him, about his insecurities, about why he does what he does, what was the cause of his addiction, why he was overworking himself in MedLab, why he had the problems with his father, and so many other things that are a myriad of hangups that he has. And I think by the end of the episode, he's come to terms with those. And so while everybody else is worried about shadows, he seems to be happy to know that he has a place in all of this and can do the most good where he can do the most good. So I think it's a satisfying episode altogether, and I would not say that it is one of the best ones, but it's certainly a solid addition to the fourth season, which a lot of things are going to happen in this. Since by the time that this was filmed, they weren't certain that there was going to be a fifth season, although the show was planned to be 5 seasons. They weren't quite certain that Warner Brothers was going to give them that 5th season. So a lot of the real story arc stories are going to be in season 4, and the filler episodes that would have been in seasons 4 and 5 are all going into season 5. So we're going to find a lot more about what happens in the plot, and that is going to keep an excitement level. The fight scenes were okay under a modern eye. The special effects weren't very good, but I mean, you have to consider that sometimes you just have to understand where they were at the time in standard definition, low budget sci-fi television presentation at the time. So with that, I think, though, that it was still a good episode, not one that I would put in the top 10 of them, but certainly a solid episode. So if you would be so kind as to subscribe to this channel and also click a like, that would be nice for us. And of course, we have our new channel that's over on Ron on Retirement. If you are interested at all in any of my personal life, there's something over there for you. So I would check out that if you will. It's up here in the corner. So until all that happens, we'll be back tomorrow with Deep Space Nine later this week with Lower Decks. Don't go far.